Hello and welcome back to Highway to Hoover, a production of SEC Extra over at d1baseball.com. I'm your host, Joe Healy, and today I'm joined by a very special guest, Nathan Wooldridge, the Vice President for Peak Events. Peak Events, obviously a trusted partner here at D1 Baseball. Been working with those guys for a while now and love that partnership that continues on. And wanted to have Nathan on today to talk about a whole bunch of stuff that kind of related to those tournaments. I kind of would talk about the history of the company, how much it's grown. Kind of want to get a little behind the scenes on what putting these events together are like, and then we'll kind of talk about each individual tournament and what it brings to the table from Nathan's point of view. So a lot of stuff to get to. First off, Nathan, I appreciate you joining us today.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you having me on.
Give us a little quick history lesson on the history of Peak Events and in this company, where it started and what the big idea was when you started it.
Absolutely. I'll again try not to be too long-winded on this. I actually enjoy telling this story. I got my start. I worked in college football for several years as a student at the University of Arkansas, and thought that I was going to coach and teach, and that was the plan, So I applied all over the country for a graduate assistant position, and I got lucky enough to get on at the University of Central Arkansas in an administrative role with the athletic department. So I was lucky enough there that when I got into that role, I met Ryan Holloway. He just started, him and his wife at the time, just started Peak Sports Management, which is a sponsorship sales firm. And so I got to know him really well working at the University of Central Arkansas. And the whole time I was working, he had this idea of starting a baseball tournament down in Frisco, Texas. He just thought it was a potential hotbed of bringing in some premier teams to play. And I loved the idea. And so I kind of bought into it. And as soon as I graduated grad school, he brought me down to Texas to start this baseball tournament idea. So kind of took a leap of faith, and Peak Events was started. So we started with the Frisco Classic here in Frisco, Texas. And it started with University of Arkansas, Arizona, Oklahoma State, and Nebraska was our fourth team for that event. And so it took several years to get off the ground. We were trying to get it going in 16. We ended up getting the right lineup in 17, which were those four teams, and had a good year to start things off. And our whole vision of starting these things was to try to provide a postseason-like experience for college baseball players. I mean, I worked on the football side of things. Those guys, we got the red carpet rolled out wherever we went. Even support staff like me, I mean, it was still being treated like royalty. It was the coolest thing. And so we wanted to bring that to baseball. Baseball gets that obviously in Omaha. I mean, it's what it's rightfully deserved. But we wanted to try to bring that, get a little taste in the early season so these kids and these coaches can see what that's like and try to kind of drive that motivation to get it again. Let's get it again postseason. But we took that model, kind of a minor league baseball approach, where we made it super engaging for fans, affordable for families to come out, and made it more of a weekend experience rather than just college baseball games, which are typically rather sterile. But we had successful years there, and completely self-funded. We never took any outside money or investors or anything, and we duplicated this and started one in Round Rock in 2020. So right prior to COVID, we were lucky enough to get that event off the ground. The world shut down a week later, but it was a great year that year as well. We had Tennessee in that event with UCLA, Texas Tech, and drawing a blank on my fourth team right now. But it was a great inaugural event, and then had success there. And then last year, in 2024, we replicated it again and started another one in Jacksonville, Florida, and another one in Las Vegas. And that's where we're at currently, with four of these tournaments running, all similar models, 4-team round robins that are kind of a taste of the postseason. We've got brighter things on tap for the future. Hopefully going to expound on some of these events and make them even bigger and better than what we've done in the past. But that's a kind of a brief synopsis of how we've got these things going.
That's beautiful. You did a wonderful job. Yeah. I trust me, listeners, when I tell you that these guys are always scheming up something else, right? Like every time I talk to them, I feel like there's something else that they're working on. And so I'm excited on behalf of D1 Baseball to continue to partner with them, and excited to see what the future holds. One of the things I saw you guys have pushed out recently is a new partnership with an organization called Live Like Lou. There's a philanthropic arm of these tournaments. There always is. There will continue to be. But introduce us to that organization and what made y'all want to get involved with them.
Yeah, great question. And the Live Like Lou Foundation was somebody that honestly kind of came to us, and it made a ton of sense for what we're trying to do in college baseball. We've worked with the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, and we still work with those guys and support those guys for our Texas events. But Live Like Lou kind of came in, and they're taking over our Jacksonville and our Las Vegas events. With the whole intention there is to raise funding and awareness for ALS, and as the foundation says, to live like Lou, which is Lou Gehrig's foundation, who you could find out a ton more about kind of what all the different things that they're involved in, but the goal there is ALS research, ALS awareness, and with this new partnership, we're bringing that to college baseball and going to try to expound on that in the markets that we operate in, and then also give these players and coaches an opportunity to utilize their platform and make an impact in their local markets. So the partnership was something that aligned with what we were trying to do and kind of grow the game of college baseball. We're trying to continue to increase the notoriety of the game and being able to align with a nationally recognized foundation like Live Like Lou and help assist in their mission. It just made a ton of sense for what we already are trying to do. But those guys, Wendy and Jeremy with the foundation, have been amazing to work with. We're really excited for this year. We're going to be announcing some stuff over the next few months about what all those are going to entail. We've got some unique opportunities for teams. Live Like Lou is going to provide some funding for those teams to go back into their local markets and make a local impact with ALS. We're also going to do some cool stuff on field when it comes tournament weekend with some experiential things for ALS families in the different markets that we work in. But it's going to add a ton of engagement and it's going to add a ton of just make it more recognizable for what we're trying to do. And we're excited to work with those guys and looking forward to how this partnership's really going to play out.
Yeah, as obviously a very worthwhile cause, and as someone who goes to the Jacksonville tournament every year, I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys all cook up to help that organization. Certainly, totally worthwhile there. Maybe give us a little bit of a peek behind the curtain, if you will. I'm kind of curious, what are things that go into putting these tournaments together that the average fan doesn't probably know go into it? And I bring this question up in part because we kind of share by we, I mean the media, kind of share a space with Peak at these events because, minor league ballparks tend to not have big media spaces and all that kind of stuff. So you're sharing a space and we're happy to do so. But I can hear like the conversations happening behind me, every year something comes up that makes me kind of raise my eyebrows like, wait a minute, why are we talking about, who's going to pick up Tropical Smoothie Cafe, right? Like things of that nature. So give us something that we probably don't know goes into these events that you and your staff are kind of stressing over or having to work out as the events come and go.
Well, first and foremost, the most common thing we get on social media or requests and questions is they tell us, you should have invited this team. You should have invited this team. And we'll dive a little bit more in that in a second, I'm sure. But that's probably the biggest thing is just what it goes into to get teams. It's not as simple as just, hey, will you come to this event and we want you to participate and teams jump on that opportunity. It's definitely a process in getting those teams and all that. But when it comes tournament weekend, just the little things that we pride ourselves on is what has separated us from other similar companies or events around the country. And I mean, we do things as little as custom key cards for the teams when they're staying at the hotel. We do custom do not disturb door hangers that say, quiet, please, I'm dreaming of Omaha. We decorate the hotels. We provide meals for these teams when they come in. We try to make it when these teams arrive in their destination that they don't have anything to worry about. We try to take their operations directors. We try to take his job away for the weekend. We assign each team a team host, and that team host is pretty much becomes their ops director. They're coordinating, letting them know what's next on the schedule. There's just a ton that goes into it. We're usually getting a lot of times we're doing smoothies, like you said, post game. We'll do a post game meal for all these teams. So I'm sending one of our staff members to go get post game meals, get all that set up and prepped and ready way before the game gets over, and have those handing out as these kids get on the bus on the way back to their hotel. But there's a multitude of things. I mean, our staff is involved from taking tickets at the front gate to helping people find their seats to working with different suite groups and things like that. But it's really the nitty gritty of the operation side of the teams. If we can make the team's experience in this market enjoyable and memorable, they're likely going to come back, and then and vice versa for their fans. Their fans are going to come back, and if we do the same. So we kind of take that approach of where we try to raise the level for the fan, the coach, and the student athlete experience. But again, there's a multitude of things that we're kind of involved in. We have even the production side. I'm popping into the broadcast booth, checking on in Jacksonville. It's usually Darren Vaught and those guys, checking on them and seeing how things are going, if they need food or anything like that, setting up their backdrop before they get in there pregame, and it's a bunch of stuff like that. Me and our whole team are there a couple days in advance of the event, putting down decals on the ground, putting up banners around the stadium, again, getting the hotels decorated. We also do something that separates us is we do little gaming hospitality suites at all the hotels. So we'll rent a meeting room for the teams, and we'll put Xboxes and couches and ping pong tables and things like that in there that to give these guys kind of a place to kill time whenever games aren't going on. And the only other place I've seen that is at the SEC tournament in Hoover. And so I learned that from bowl game experiences and when I was a college student, and tried to bring that over, but we have seen that on the baseball side of things. But it's, again, a multitude of things that I'm really lucky to have an amazing staff. We pull on a lot of student help with student partnerships with different universities that we work with. Maryville University out of St. Louis, they're one that they supply us 6 or 7 quality kids at every event. And it's stuff like that is the reason we have been successful. We have great people that help us execute these events.
Yeah, shout out to Maryville University. I'm glad you brought it up because I was my old neck of the woods in the St. Louis area. I met several of those folks the last couple of years in Jacksonville. And by the way, if I could reach it, I would. It's out of my reach here, but I still have my hotel door hanger that says I'm dreaming of Omaha. That still sits on my desk every day. So
awesome.
It's a little like, Nathan, it reminds me, like, you guys are a little bit like D3 baseball coaches, where it's like you mow the lawn and you hand out the meal money. And you maybe you drive the bus if the bus driver doesn't show up, like that. That's kind of, all the way up the food chain. You and Ryan and all those, like, no job too small is kind of what it seems like with the team, because you're ultimately a pretty small but mighty team putting on these events.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great analogy there. I'm going to have to use that one moving forward. But yeah, I mean, we're driving the U-Hauls down to these events. We're driving a U-Haul from Texas down to Jacksonville, from Texas out to Las Vegas, filled with, we do team gifts for the players, all of our game balls, they're all traveling in a U-Haul to get there. Just flags, all kinds of stuff it's become our quote unquote bread and butter, but it is, I mean, it's our president of our company, Ryan, is he's knee deep in this as well. So it's top to bottom. Everybody is doing everything. Nobody's really quote unquote too good to be doing any of it. We don't have a staff big enough to be like that, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah. What would you guess? This might be a tough question to answer, but I know there's a lot of interest in playing in your tournaments. I hear that not just from your side, but I hear it from the coaching side. What would you guess the number of programs that you've ever had contact with, whether just basic getting to know you, like introductory to, hey, you're in one of the tournaments? Out of the 306 Division I teams, like, how many do you think you've had some sort of contact with? And by you, I mean peak events in general. Yeah,
great question. That's probably, I would say, the vast majority of them, to be honest with you. I mean, probably 2 to 250 of them for sure that Wow. We've had probably regular communication with through the years. I mean, there's some teams out there, quote unquote, mid majors and things like that we may not have been able to get in touch with as of yet, just because it hasn't made a ton of sense. But and we do get a lot of interest now, but it's completely different than how it was 10 years ago. I mean, when we started these things, it was begging and pleading these coaches to trust us that, hey, what we're going to put on is we're legit, and this is going to be for real, and you're going to come have a great experience. And once we got that first year under our belt, and Josh Holliday was there, and Dave Van Horn and Jay Johnson was there, the reputation got out there that, hey, these guys are for real, and what they're doing is for real, and it's a unique way to attack it. And over the years, it has grown tremendously with teams wanting it. Again, the first few years it was difficult, and now it gets really of just matching up the best opponents as far as the best combination of potential RPI boosters for it gets a lot more strategic now on how we schedule. Whereas we started this thing, man, it was just we'll take the best teams that we can get and let's roll. But now it's definitely there's more of an RPI focus. We can be a little more picky with who we're bringing to these events. And that's not to disrespect anybody that's out there. It's just in order to get a team like LSU routinely, like LSU's not going to come play a bunch of 100+ RPI average teams. It just becomes a killer at that point. So we got to make it an RPI booster for everybody that comes in and participates, and really focusing on that primary, and then secondary to that would be the overall experience for everybody in attendance has really built this brand and allowed us to grow.
I actually, one of the interesting things since I've known you is that I see you probably more often at not peak events than I do at peak events. Whether it's the Surefire Forum that our mutual friend Jason Penry puts on, or at the SEC tournament, or wherever else. Feels like I run into you a lot. So what role does networking play, and just kind of doing the old press in the flesh play in your operation, and why is that important for you guys to be out there and do that?
Absolutely. That's probably the most important thing that we do. And that's what I've doing this now for 10 years. That's what I've learned. It's these coaches, a big part of getting teams to come is trust. And they can hear it from other people that these guys do a good job, but they also need to have a personal relationship with us, with me or our team, to really kind of feel it and to really get them to not obligate themselves to come, but get a little more pressure to come. And so, we're year round. So, I mean, we Surefire every year, first week of January this year at TCU. Hopefully we'll see you there again this year, but big part of that, bringing in those assistant coaches, those are future head coaches. And that's another way that we approach it is we try to get to know all the assistants, because they're going to be future head guys. They're going to be the ones making these scheduling decisions in the future. So we try to treat everybody from the lowest, quote unquote, lowest mid-major to the highest P4. Like we try to treat them all the same, especially in our interactions. And we go out when we're at ABCA convention every year. We do a conference tournament week kind of around the country. We'll spend 2 days in Hoover. We'll go over to Charlotte or Durham, wherever it is for the ACC. We'll jump over to Omaha for the Big Ten, and then we've been going down for the Pac out in Scottsdale, but obviously that's changed. And then we've wrapped up the week in Arlington at the Big 12. All of that has now changed, but that's kind of been our model the last several years. Is we're definitely hitting conference tournament weeks, ABCA. We do birthday cards. You can ask a coach. You can probably ask any coach in the country. Have you gotten a birthday card from Peak Events? They're probably going to be like, yes, we get one every year, because that's something that it's just the little things, and it's what we pride ourselves on. It's what we've been able to build off of. But we get handwritten thank you cards after every meeting. Heck, we're going down in a couple of weeks. We're going to do a trip around Florida. So we're going to go stop at UF. We're going to stop at Florida State and visit with all these coaches just in the middle of the fall, just to drop in and say hello. We did it last year out in Mississippi, dropped in and saw Ole Miss and Mississippi State and all the Alabama schools. And that's what we try to do is as many touch points as we possibly can, so that these coaches remember us. And they know when I'm calling, they're like, hey, it's Nathan calling. I'm going to pick up and talk to this guy, because their time is valuable, especially in today's college athletic world with money all over the place and then budgets up in the air. So I don't want to waste these guys' times. And that's, again, a big part of it is trust. And that's what we focus on, is trying to get these guys to trust us and trust the process, trust the event process that we provide, and build those relationships. And piggying back off that, not to get long-winded.
No, go for it.
Jay Johnson was at Arizona in 2017. And in that lineup of teams, just off of competitive history at the time, like Arizona was probably not the most talented out of those four, but we treated him as though he was the Dave Van Horn of that event. Like, we treated those four teams all equally the same, and that was kind of our litmus test, so to speak. And we built that rapport and friendship with Jay kind of in that first year, and just have built on it, stayed in communication with him throughout the years. And then And then awesome enough, he ends up getting the LSU job, which just makes a ton of sense for us. And we've had them in a couple of our events, and they've brought sellout crowds and things like that. But it just that was our whole vision coming into this thing, is like treat everybody the same, treat them at a high level, and it'll all come full circle in the long run. And that's where we're starting to see it pay off. And that's a big benefit of being involved with things like Surefire is these assistant coaches end up being head coaches. And we already have that relationship. And one of them, like Eddie Smith at Washington, Nathan Chode at Washington State, like those are two that just top of mind that were part of Surefire that we got to know and end up getting in a head role later on to be able to make those decisions. But networking is the number one thing. It's probably what I spend most of my time on. Always sending emails, making calls, shooting texts. I was just talking to, I just drawing a blank now. UC Davis and several of those UC schools the other day on just finding some midweek matchups for them. And that's what we've done is we just go try to help these guys find some opponents. We don't get anything out of it and other than building that relationship. And so we've actually taken a step that way where we're helping a lot of teams just fill some holes. They get a hole, they call me up and I help them fill it. And again, we don't get anything out of it, but in the long run, I'm building that friendship, that relationship with that coach that whenever we need a favor, they'll also be there to help. And we've had teams drop on us last minute due to whatever budgetary reasons or whatever it might be. So being a year out trying to schedule, it's difficult at the Division I level. So sometimes I can call one of these other coaches up and be like, hey, I need a huge favor. And then they make it happen. And all of that is due completely to me going out and networking, building these relationships. And I say me, it's my director of ops, Ryan Kirkwood, who plays a key role in all of that. It's our president, Ryan Holloway, who's usually with me on a lot of these trips. So it's definitely a team process to build that network.
To wrap up, I kind of like to go through the 4 events that y'all are putting on in 26, not necessarily to if you want to break down the teams, Nathan, we could do that. But I meant more like just kind of like, what do you like? What works for Peak, in those cities and what have you. So I'm curious because you mentioned Ryan, the CEO, saying that he had this bee in his bonnet about, well, I'm going to do a tournament in Frisco. Like, what was it about Frisco? I don't want you to speak. I know I guess I am asking you to speak for him, but just what was it about Frisco? Have you ever asked him about that? Like, I'm kind of curious what the genesis of it was and why has that continued to be such a strong market for you all?
Yeah, again, great question. And I can actually speak for him on this one because I'm well-versed on why we are there. I mean, we went there purely because kind of felt like there was a void for college baseball in the Dallas market. Now, you had Dallas Baptist, but Dallas Baptist is still 45 minutes from Frisco. You have TCU, that's still about an hour from Frisco. So it's not really super convenient for Frisco, this northern suburb with a beautiful ballpark. The ballpark is second to none. It's unique.
Great ballpark.
It's I highly recommend anybody doing a ballpark tour. That's one you got to stop at and see. It's definitely become more of an urban park now, but used to be out in the middle of a field when we started this thing kind of. But that's why we're technically there is felt like there was a void, felt like it was and North Texas is a highly recruited area. There's a ton of kids coming out of here, a ton of high level kids. It's definitely a baseball focused region. And originally that was the intent. Coaches are going to want to play here so they can recruit these kids. And these kids give these kids an opportunity to play back in their hometown or home region. And then second to that is let's provide the local fans of DFW some quality college baseball within a close proximity. Again, Dallas Baptist has been in the event a couple of times, hadn't been able to lucky enough to get TCU yet, but working on it. But it's just not a lot of good quality baseball within a close perimeter of Frisco. But that's why we're in Frisco. We took it to Round Rock. The reason we went to Round Rock was a big part of that was the relationship with the venue. The venue is beautiful. I mean, it's a AAA park. It's high capacity, and Austin market has diversified a lot over the last 20 years. I mean, 20 years ago, we couldn't have done this in Round Rock. It was all UT fans. But it's definitely diversified a lot. I think there's 1 million plus in the DMA now in that area. So we draw a little bit more of a diverse population, more baseball fans. But we went down and we visited with Sugar Land. We called it the Texas Triangle, Sugar Land, San Antonio, and Round Rock all in one day. And that's a haul, driving and meetings and all
really
of that. And then we met with all 3 of them, and we just felt the most comfortable with Round Rock. I mean, just good, wholesome people in charge running that venue. Felt like it was going to be more of a partnership, and the city of Round Rock instantly embraced it. And that's another big part of it. We want to be where we're wanted. And so these cities and these markets embraced it and supported it and helped us be successful. And that's why we were in Round Rock and Frisco. Jacksonville, we duplicated later on and moved to Jacksonville. And honestly, again, it was a venue, beautiful venue near the river, great staff that run that venue. But honestly, the driving force was is we're going to go week 2 of the college baseball season. We need to go warmer. So we wanted to go in Florida for that one. And Vegas, same thing there. It's incredible venue. And that's the driving force. That's the nicest minor league park in the country, hands down. And again, great staff that run and organize that venue and operate it. And that's why we were there. We went third weekend out there to kind of combat a little bit of the cold. But that's also a highly desirable area for teams. And that's something else is we polled coaches throughout this process on which markets make sense for you guys and where are y'all recruiting. And North Florida was a big recruiting hub. Actually, the whole state of Florida was a big recruiting hub. Sure. And then obviously Las Vegas and the West Coast, with Las Vegas being a close hub to just hop on a plane and go over anywhere in California. So when these coaches come in, they use it as a recruiting trip as well a lot of times. And so that's why we're in these 4 current markets with some other stuff on tap that we'll get to talk about in the future.
Yeah, I mean, the Vegas tournament this year, I think, look, all the ones you've announced have been great. I'm excited about it. But the Arizona, Oregon, UC Irvine, Vanderbilt in Vegas is just like you rattled off the teams in that first Frisco tournament. Like to me, this Vegas tournament is pretty close to being on par with that in terms of quality from top to bottom. So, bravo to you and your team for putting that together, because that's 4 top 20, top 25 level programs, and that's just hard to do when everybody's out there scheduling different scheduling philosophies and different ways of going about it. To get those 4 on the same billing is huge. Yeah,
and that one I'm honestly is the one I'm most proud of. It was an adventure putting that one together. We got with Coach Orloff when he first got that job at UCI several years ago and kind of talked about what the future could look like and got him committed to come to that. And that was before he had that thing rolling, before he had that thing really turned around and had been doing so well the last couple of years. So it kind of took a leap of faith. And that's a lot of times sometimes that's what I have to do or what we have to do is kind of, we take a team in hoping that they're going to get better or hoping that they're going to be good. And man, they sure the heck are. They had a great season last year. All 4 of them coming off a postseason bid. I think Arizona, obviously, and Omaha there, and Vandy's regularly there. So like it's definitely our most regional group of 4 teams that we have this year, and that's something I would try to replicate in all of these events. And now all of them do have a pretty high level of postseason attendees, but it's hard to get that lineup every single year. But we're pretty good for it. As far as most teams being that high level top 25 type programs in most of our events, we at least have 1, 2, potentially 3 in all of the tournaments. But this one, we got lucky enough with all 4. It's going to be a good one. Oregon came in and filled a hole for us late too. So Coach Waz up there, he did me a big favor, and that's part of that relationship building that we try to strive on. And he came in and made that tournament whole.
Not a bad pinch hitter to get Oregon
not at all
in the mix that late game. So kudos to everybody involved there. Well, Nathan, I appreciate your time this afternoon. Really interesting stuff. I think for most of us, even me, someone who gets to see some of the behind the scenes, not understanding but 1% of it. Interesting stuff to kind of hear a little bit behind the scenes. Thank you for joining us this afternoon on Highway to Hoover. Yeah,
appreciate you having us on, and look forward to hopefully going to talk to you guys more about some other events coming on tap in the future.
Definitely looking forward to that as well. That's going to do it for this edition of Highway to Hoover, a production of SEC Extra over at d1baseball.com. I want to thank Academy Sports and Outdoors for sponsoring this and every episode of Highway to Hoover. One more thank you to Nathan Wooldridge, the Vice President of Peak Events. For more information, go to peak.events. For more information on their tournaments, their team, all that stuff, peak.events. And thank you, the listeners, for listening. We'll talk to you all soon.